David, Palm Beach, Florida. We're just talking about Palm Beach. Hi, David. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, good afternoon, OM. N2HYC here.
Good afternoon to you, too. W6TWT.
I didn't remember it, but I would have addressed you that way if I was.
It's easy. It's a vanity. Whiskey 6 Tango, Whiskey Tango. It's TWT. Of course, my podcast network's called TWiT, see?
Yeah, that's a good way.
Yeah.
I think we all come up with, well, most people at least come up with little
mnemonics.
Little things like,
yeah, make it easy.
I just saw the commercial. One of the new, I guess he's a new sponsor, Tunnel Bear.
Yeah, they're a VPN.
Yeah, and it jogged a thought that I've had for a while. I understand that web addresses with an S are secure.
That's right, HTTPS, yeah.
Right, are secure, but A, how secure are they? And B, would it be more secure to go through a VPN to my banks or brokerage account or anything like that?
Excellent question. So HTTPS is roughly very close to the same kind of encryption that VPNs use. Tunnel Bear, and it's just one of many companies that do virtual private networks. The difference is when you type in https://bankofamerica.com or amazon.com or wherever you're going that's a secure site, and nowadays almost everything's secure. Gmail is, Facebook is. The conversation you have with them cannot be seen by anybody but you and Facebook, you and the endpoint, you and Amazon, you and the bank. That's private between you two. However, anybody on the network can see that you went to Facebook. They just can't tell what you're doing at Facebook. So they can follow you around. Furthermore, when you're on an open Wi-Fi access point, they can probe your network access. They can try stuff. They can see stuff. So they have access to you're on a network that's floating through the air. So they do have some access. They can probe at it in ways that they can't do when that access is encrypted in a tunnel. So all VPNs are like tunnels that are encrypted around all the traffic from you to the VPN endpoint. So that means that they can't probe you. They can't see what you're doing. It is totally secure. Similar security, it's just more global. It's for everything you do instead of just the conversation you're having with that secure site. So it's for different purposes. And for a long time I said, you can use an open Wi-Fi access point at a coffee shop as long as you're HTTPS. But I've amended my thoughts on that after reading what some bad guys can do. I'll talk about that more when we come back. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. So let me talk a little bit about why a VPN, or at least some protection, is a good idea when you're out in the wild. So when you're at a hotel, when you're at a coffee shop, when you're on a boat, when you're using somebody else's internet access, you're using, it's wireless, you're broadcasting through the air your traffic. Now, some of that traffic is secure because it's using HTTPS, as our caller was saying. When you log into Google Mail, for instance, your password for your email is not going through the air without scrambling. It's not unencrypted in the air. But there are other email services that haven't yet, they're unenlightened. They haven't yet started doing that. And that would be the biggest risk, I think, is if a bad guy seeing your password float through the air, grabbing it, he then would have access to your email. And he can just log in without your knowledge, and he can do all sorts of damage. I got emails from two different old friends this week saying, help, I lost my wallet. I'm overseas. One was in Puerto Rico. One was in Hungary. I'm overseas, and I don't have any money. All my credit cards and cash. Can you just wire me a couple of $1,000 just so I can get home? And, of course, I'll pay you back. And these were for people I knew. And it's very credible. It must be from Hank because, he had my email address and he had some details that made sense. It must be from him, except I've seen enough of these. I know it's not. It's a scam. And that's, if somebody can get into your email, they can do that. They can go to Twitter and say, oh, I forgot my Twitter password? What? Or your bank? What's my passwords? Email it to me. Now they have access to your email. You may not even know. So that's I think that's one of the worst things that can happen. But it turns out there are devices that bad guys can use. They can sit in a coffee shop, get a cup of coffee, pretend to be reading the newspaper with this device and running next to their laptop, and they can sniff all the data packets going through the air. They can kind of probe your network, your computer, and often get information that makes it possible for them to do kind of gradually escalating attacks on you. It's risky. I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to read more to an article that came out in a Dutch newspaper about 6 months ago that scared the pants off of me. When I realized how much can be done, even if you're using secure sites, I got very nervous. So that's one of the reasons I started using VPNs on open access points. If you're using a network that other people, strangers, are using at a hotel, at a coffee shop, on a cruise ship, you are vulnerable to a variety of privacy attacks and others. Some of them of varying degrees of concern. It would be best to use a VPN. SSL will protect you from them seeing the details of your email login if it's using SSL. Make sure it is. Nowadays, Google's really made a concerted effort to get everybody to do it. Facebook did it after a program called Firesheep was released into the wild some years ago. Firesheep let somebody running the Firefox browser and this special plugin log in as you on Facebook. He didn't need your password. He just needed to see that magic cookie that Facebook uses to identify you. See, you don't have to log into Facebook each time, do you? You log in once and it remembers you, right? Well, how does it do that? Well, it does it with a magic number. It's a cookie. It's called a cookie. That magic number is an identifying number that's unique to you. It expires from time to time, so you have to re-log in. But in the meanwhile, that's your password. That's all you need to identify yourself. So Firesheep, this program, would capture that magic cookie, and then the bad guy could sit there and post something on Facebook. And it scared the heck out of Facebook. So they fixed this by turning on HTTPS, secure web browsing. And Google's really kind of started to tell most sites, look, we're going to give you better rankings if you're secure. Get secure. More and more sites are using this. There's no reason not to. It's not such a hard thing to do. There's very little overhead. But it still doesn't protect you from a variety of other attacks in the same way that a VPN does. So in general, I like the idea of using a VPN of some kind, but if only, not at home. Well, if you're worried about it at home, what you worry about is your internet service provider can see what you're doing. And even though they can't see into your secure transactions, they can see who you're visiting, see a pattern, and there's a lot of stuff still unsecured they can see as all of the details. So some people use them at home too, frankly. Depends how privacy conscious you are and security conscious.